and of course, you, the participants here tonight. Good evening again. Don't know what happened, but I would just like to say a special welcome to the Apostle, Courtney McLean, Reverend Nadine McLean, the ELT, and the ministers and Connect of Wafif. But also want to say a special good evening to you guys, the participants. And we're looking for a wonderful and exciting meeting tonight. So as is customary, we are going to begin with a prayer. We're going to begin with a prayer. So I will start off with a prayer, and then at the end, we will also close in prayer. Throughout the presentation, if you guys have questions, you can leave the questions in the chat. And at different intervals, I would address those concerns or questions. And of course, we also take your queries and questions at the end of the presentation. So let us pray. Mighty God, we come before you once more. In another time, for your glory, to give you honor. Give you honor through sharing of wisdom, giving you honor through the sharing of knowledge. As we build the total man by embarking on a journey to start business, grow business, and improve our lives. We owe it all to you. We owe our presence, we owe our existence, we owe our lives to you. We want to honor you tonight by telling you thank you. We want to honor you tonight by dedicating these proceedings to you, mighty God. And we'll ask that you cover us and guide us. Ensure that tonight's proceedings goes well. Everybody is able to benefit, and if your kingdom will be furthered and be of great improvement based on what has transpired here tonight. These mercies we ask in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So tonight we will be discussing what is called business planning process, which of course would involve your business plan and your strategic plan. Now, I know a lot of persons may not necessarily like the whole idea of planning. They may say that they know what to do. They don't have the time to put down their plans on a piece of paper. They are more better doers. They do as they go. At Waffle for a While to Win slogan, our apostle always speaks about flying a plane while building it. So there is a rule of thumb that if you're in tune with God and his direction, you can go forth with his telling and his wisdom and his knowledge. But that must be cautioned with the idea that you must always have a plan of action and a strategy of how you're going to build that plane and how you're going to facilitate that movement. Now, in Proverbs 21, verse 5, it says, the plans of the diligent leads to a profit. Similarly, or surely, the one who hastes leads to poverty. So we don't want to haste in starting a business without properly planning and fine-tuning our strategies and our course forward without actually putting these plans into place. So we want to plan properly so that we can lead to super normal profits. So the course, we'll be going through some bits of feasibility analysis. We're going to look broadly on the macroeconomic factors. We're going to look at something called Porter's 5 forces, and we're going to look at the elements of your business plan and your strat plan, and all of that will come into you having a solid business plan and your strategic position going forward. Now that sounds like a lot, but what it really trying to do is to help you through the planning process, which we have outlined before. When we start with a business idea, which we did in the first week, we assessed that business idea. We spoke about what the legal framework and the business structure that's supposed to encompass that business idea. So we're going to get down now into what a feasibility study is, and build out a business model and your business plan, and then of course strategic plan and throughout your implementation. Now, I like to explain it this way. If you are preparing to cook a meal, you would have to go out and find your important ingredients to season the meat. You would have to wash the meat, you'd have to prepare the meat. And then when you apply the seasoning, you'd have to make it simmer a little bit, allow it to soak in, and then you would then apply your cooking method to the meat. And then when it is finished, you will share that meat or that dish in a more palatable and attractive way to whomever you're serving that meal to, for them to taste the love and to taste the meal in its complete format. Writing your business plan is something similar. You have some areas in which you have to season the meat, prepare for it, and then you get down into your cooking method. So what we're going to do for the first couple slides is do the preparation for your fine-tuned business plan by going through what are some of the macroeconomic forces that would affect your data gathering and research and your business idea into implementing your business. We'd also want to talk about how do we assess your business in the form of your suppliers, your target buyers, your competitors, and of course, entrance and substitute to your product. We will look at that through the Porter's 5 forces. Now, we also want to look at feasibility analysis. Remember, when you analyze your business idea, you did so at a high level. Now, your feasibility analysis will bring out to you what are some of the detailed analysis, and then you're able to now see in its rawest form, in its truest form, what your business will look like and how it will function. You'd also need to answer some questions as to how do we go around what are some of the limitations and what are some of the resource constraints. Your feasibility study will help you with that. We'd also want to look at something called a business canvas, where it allows you to think freely. It allows you to come up with ideas freely, think outside the box. And then from that idea now, you're able to build your value proposition. What sets you apart differently from your other competitors? And then in the end, you will have what is called a fine-tuned, solid business plan that in and of itself, it serves two main purposes. One is to act as a guide for you to move forward. And also, if your plan is as big as taking over the world, then you probably may not have the cash in your bank account or the capital in your bank account to fund that dream. So you may want to approach the bank to get a loan, or you may want to approach an investor in order to get financing, equity financing in order to grow that business. And this solid plan, business plan, is what is going to convince them that your business idea is the next best thing. Your business idea is so thoroughly and truly inside out, thought about, planned out, strategized, that they would want to put their money into your business. And that is the most important factor as why we're doing a business plan, is just to ensure we are able to convince those persons who we need funding from, and also to ensure that we follow this blueprint in order to build this dream that we have in a solid way. So first up, let's look at our environmental forces that would affect you in your overall business and business planning process. Now, in the outer bands, you see we have the macroeconomic environment. What does that mean? That's a broad-based environment. That's a large-based environment that you have. And you have some forces, you have some factors. You have the social culture forces that have to deal with your customer buying patterns. In Jamaica, there's certain cultural things, a certain way how we behave, and that also impacts our buying patterns. So if persons were in chicken preparation, peas preparation, rice selling. You know that Jamaicans eat rice and peas mostly on a Sunday. So your coconut milk powders, your chicken, your rice and peas, all of those ingredients will be bought up for preparation after that. We celebrate Christmas for most persons who do so, and they would also want to buy sorrel. They're the seasonal products. They also want to make their Christmas pudding. So every ingredient in that, of course, will be highly demanded in Christmas time. That is just the culture of Jamaica. So technological advances, there are certain things that has changed, technology has changed, which have impacted how we do business. Like now, most businesses online, people have accepted that Jamaicans are now getting our warm up with the idea of making payments online. We see linked as a new trust. Financial institutions and BOG have been pushing crypto and all these kind of other means of payment. That is because technology and these other innovative means of payments is becoming the norm of how persons look at it. Demographic, your different age groups, sex, whether you're male or female, all those things impact your buying pattern and will also impact your business. Economic forces, right now we're talking about the movement in the dollar, we're talking about inflation, whether it is imported inflation or it is demand inflation. So we all of those forces we want to talk about and how it impacts. We hear in the news that to combat all of that, the Bank of Jamaica is increasing interest rates, and the banks are following suit to increase interest rates as well. So if we probably doing this business plan to get funding, we may want to consider that the funding come at a higher interest rate than it was maybe a year ago. The political and legal forces, of course, in another couple of years, we may be going back to the polls. So what the different political parties are bringing forward and what they want to change from the legal framework, that would also affect your business going forward. So they want to plan around all of that. Your global forces, we know that war and tensions, geopolitical tensions are there between countries. All of that supply constraints at the different ports. Although it eased somewhat, there's still some amount of impetus and some amount of pressure coming from that level. So you might want to factor all of that in when you're entering a new business. In the inner band now, we start speaking about a competitive environment. We talk about your competitors. If you're going into a new venture, who are your competitors? Who are you competing with? Who you're trying to get a share of the market from? Your suppliers, who is supplying you? Do you need more than one supplier to ensure that the channel is effective? Who are your customers? Are you targeting a specific segment of a larger market, or are you just targeting a wholesale entire group of persons? Substitutes. Sometimes substitute can kill an entire market. So you have to be wary if these substitutes are coming in. I can tell you about the movie industry. When Blockbuster was up and running, a substitute came in, Netflix, and of course, you know, that was devastating for that market. So I just want to highlight that these are the forces, and you can jot down and make your different, collate a different research pieces around how those forces would affect your business. It's going to come in handy as we go through the presentation, as you go through building your business plan. First up, Porter's 5 forces model. What is it speaking about? So we just talk about the broad macroeconomic factors, talk about how it affects you, how it may affect you, so gather some information around your business idea. Now, we want to talk about how that immediate environment affects you. So it's like inner circle I just spoke about suppliers and your customers and your competitors and stuff like that. Your Porter's 5-4 model allow you to flesh it out some more, get more detail and granular in that. And if you don't know what your competitors doing, if you don't know what the market looks like, then you're going inside a business blindsided, and you don't want to be blindsided. You want to come in being the best in that market, being the best in that space, If it's an innovative space where you are the only person in that space, you at least want to also know that there's what possible substitute could come down the line to affect your bottom line. So it's still a very good method of analysis that will help you to do your business plan. So here we have 5 different areas. And the first area here is suppliers. We're going to explain them a little bit more in detail, just to explain to you what you're looking at. And the supplier is, these suppliers have bargaining power. Now, if you have one supplier for your goods, just imagine if you went to them for some type of goods, right? And they say they don't have it, then you can service your customers. So you might want to have improve and diversify channel to ensure that one particular supplier doesn't have an enormous bargaining power over you, that you have to take whatever price it is, because it's going to affect your end product or your service that you offer to somebody. Your buyers, your customers, you don't want to have a few customers, like one large customer that holds up your company and a few small ones. So if this large customer goes, then your business may collapse or may not be sustainable. So you might want to go into a business in which it does not depend so much on one single customer, and the bargaining power of that customer or those customers are not so huge that it may affect your business. You also want to get into business in which the customer base will increase over time and you can scale up. As I said, one of the important things for a business is to be scalable. You also want to ensure that the potential entrance that is coming in, you're able to weather the storm of increased competition. But you also want to ensure that if there's entrant, it's not so easy to come in. Like if you were in the taxi business, you would not want to have a situation where everybody can buy a car and start a taxi business. That's why the government of Jamaica regulates it, to ensure safety for persons and also to ensure persons who are in it are able to make profit. You also want to ensure that the industry competitors and the rival among existing firms, as such, that will give you the breathing space in order to grow your business. So let's explore these 5 areas a little bit more. Rival among companies for competing in the industry. Now, this is one of the strongest one because as you see, if you have strong rivalry, say for argument's sake, the financial industry, one has to follow suit the other. If NCB does something, for argument's sake, Scotia would have to have a combating strategy in order to maintain. So imagine if you wanted to start a commercial bank right now. I know there are red tapes and regulatory stuff you have to get through in order to pass fit and proper and all other standards in order for you to open a commercial bank. But let's just say you met all of that and you got all of that. That space is very competitive. You have to come out with products that is flexible. You have to come out with market rates that are flexible. You have to be accessible. You have to ease of doing business. So you realize that there are a lot of things you have to come with in order to come into that kind of market, because it's very competitive. The rivalry is high in that sort of market. So you might want to be very careful in entering a market such as that. But what is a good thing is that when you look at the different forces, you're able to see what degree of these forces and how it affects you. And it's not that the forces exist, meaning you can't go into it, but it's the degree to which they exist and how you position yourself in order to make it possible. Now, in terms of the rivalry, in an industry where you have large number of competitors, and I said here the bank is not like that, where you have competitors of similar sizes. In the case of the financial industry, you know that Sagicor and NCB and Scotia, they are large. So if you go in, you're going to be very small. So the scale, the size is not equitable. So it's hard for you to compete on a level of rates and product offerings and customer service to those large banks. For example, if the industry is growing at a fast pace, then you want to get into a business like that. It makes it more attractive. opportunity to sell a differentiated product is there, then you may want to get into a market where that is present. One of the other factors now, other forces, is the bargaining power of suppliers. The greater the leverage that your supplier has in terms of the materials that they're supplying you or the services they're supplying you, then the less attractive it is. Like I was explaining, you don't want your suppliers to hold you at ransom. You might want to be able to get the same service, same quality products from various different suppliers. And that will help you to maintain your price level, maintain your offerings, maintain your satisfaction of your customers on a timely basis. Now, your buyers, the bargaining power of your buyers, is a similar kind of concept to come onto your suppliers. You don't want to be able to be bogged down by the limited number of target audience, your target customers. You might want to have a system in which everybody is demanding your product and nobody is too large than the other, because you may create an impression that if you lose a customer, then you might be out of business. Now, I know in certain contexts, certain industry, for example, the printing industry, we know is a large corporation does most of the printing, most of the stationaries. So of course, by the nature of your business, you're going to get a lot of money from these large corporations if you're in the printer business. But what I'm trying to say is you would have to find a strategy around that to ensure that if you lose one of those big contracts, you're still able to maintain your business going forward. And this, again, I said, this is degree. I'm going to show you how you put inside the model and then work yourself out to see if you should persist with your idea. Now we're going to talk about new entrants. The larger the pool of potential entrants into your business is a greater threat it is to your company. I was explaining, given the example, if it is easy for everybody to run into the taxi business, then you may not want to get into the taxi business because everybody will be competing for that last dollar and the market may not be as wide to absorb everybody to get that bit of dollar that makes it profitable. If there is an easy substitute for your product, then you're also going to have problems in terms of surviving, because somebody can come with a great improved substitute and it wipes out your entire market base. So you may want to look at that as well. So what we tend to do is to assign numbers to ensure, give you an idea if your business that you're looking to put to investors and persons for funding, that you're looking to embark on, is it good for you to do? Then we assign some mathematics behind it, some metrics behind it to give us an objective way of evaluating that. And what we said is for each of the 5 forces, we're going to apply a score of 1 for the not important, up to the very important you assign 5. Also to the threat, what that force represents, you'd also apply a similar score. So if the threat is not so high, you'll apply 1. If it is very high, you're going to apply 5. And when you do your multiplication of the column 1 to column 2, then you're going to sum that score in the end. If you get a score of 5, it means therefore that it is very attractive. Because remember, you'd have given the not important 1, you'd have given the threat 1. 1 times 1 is 1, and you sum all of 5, you get 5. That means very attractive. You don't have any threats, you don't have no threat of substitute, you don't have any extreme rivalry among existing businesses, you don't have any high power bargaining as your customer and your supplier, and everything just works perfect for you. It's a very attractive thing. You should go into it. And then, of course, if everything is given 5, then you need to run to the hills, because it means that is not a very attractive business for you to get into. And I'll give you an example here. An example here is where you see that the rivalry importance is 5. It's very important to this particular industry. Maybe it was the financial industry that I was thinking of. And then the threat to it is 2. So when you multiply 5 by 2, you get 10, and you sum, you realize I got 42. 42 is not so close to the 125, and it is not so close to the 5, somewhere in the middle there, which means that you can move forward with that idea. But remember, what we're doing is that we're trying to find ways to tell us what the market looks like, how we plan to position. So you're getting information as you do this about the rivalry in the industry. You're getting information about your suppliers in the industry. You're getting information about your customers, and you also get information about the possible entrants and substitute for your product. That will help you in different sections of your business plan as you collate this information and work it out. Is there any questions so far? Everything is clear as what I just said? All right, I'm not seeing any questions. So we press on. All right, we move to what is called feasibility analysis. Now, this is another area that helps you to dive deeper into your business that you're planning to start, and to dive deeper, whether or not you have an existing business, to dive deeper into it, to learn more about your industry, learn what you can do to grow that business. If you already have a business, a feasibility analysis is somewhat still can be used. If you're doing it in terms of for the first time, it brings out some information that you may not have considered when you had started a business. But it's very, very, very helpful for persons who just started a business, because it helps to give you a framework of what you're looking at and how best to strategize and to grow your business. What it is really about is giving you an idea and analysis about your industry, your market. Is also telling you about the products that you offer. It's saying about your financial analysis. So this will help you then to sort of see in the financial analysis, am I going to make a profit by pursuing this business? And that's very important. Am I going to break even? Where will my funding come from? How would I manage the funding gaps? Is there an exit for me? And then when you do the entrepreneurial analysis, then that is saying, how best does this business fit my skills, my team skills? And if there are gaps, then I probably need to go and search for those gaps. Because when you present your management team, and just for practicality and what actually happens in the industry, when you present your business plans and your business proposal, I will tell you, the banks, they pay attention to the numbers and your plans and your strategy and stuff like that. But if the business that you're going to go in, you have no knowledge over, they can't see where you have the skill set, they can't see where you have studied it, they can't see where you plan to employ it, then they're going to say, how are you going to excel at this business when you have no knowledge of it? So they pay close attention to the management team. They pay close attention to the persons who are starting this business. Are they au fait? Is it up their alley? It is something that they can do. Now, for me, it is best you have a way of how you're going to prove or show that my management team, that my team that we have is able to carry out the plans that we have, implement them effectively, and be of sound and critical accountability. All of those things they want to see. Ensure that when they give you that money, you're going to do exactly what you want to say, and you're going to do it best of your ability. And that's why, well, on a side note, that's why when you see these businesses come to the market, for argument's sake, IPO, they push their board so much. They push the board of directors, they push the management team. When you go on different websites, that's the first thing you're seeing. Who is the manager? Who is the CEO? Who is the board of directors? Who make decisions? And then people drill down into what is their track record? What is their resume? What a resume looks like? Because I know sometimes that may not necessarily be true, that you have a solid management team and it's going to be a solid business. It may not be true, but at least it gives a basis, a level of comfort for the persons who are going to invest in your business that you have the right team, the right resources to carry out and to weather any hiccup or shot there is to move forward. So let's take a look at the first area of financial, of feasibility analysis. That's to do with your product and your services. That deal with the degree to which your product and your service appeals to your potential customer. You have to identify the necessary resources in order to provide the product and this particular service. It really asks the question, are the customers willing to purchase your goods and service? Now, it seems like a question that once you want to do business, it's always going to be yes. Yes, they're going to do it. Who? What segment? How much? Is this a highly demanded product or is it a slightly demanded product? Like in COVID time, if you were doing any sanitizer product or cleaning product, of course, you can say every household in Jamaica would want a sanitizer product, correct? Everybody would want a service that cleans, correct? Because we were highly concerned about the macroeconomic factors that was affecting our businesses. We talked about macroeconomic factors before. So that in of itself could have impacted that all the customers wanted to buy that. But take for argument's sake, you wanted to start a business that was in food preparation, a restaurant. Somebody probably said, in the height of COVID, who is going to come to you? When persons were concerned about the handling and how you transmitted COVID and stuff like that. So those are kind of the questions that you want to ask right here. Are your customers willing to purchase the goods and services from you? Quantify it, analyze it, drill down. What does that customer looks like? How large is that pool? Drill down into it. Get at that information because it will be useful when we're going to fine tune the business plan a little later. How you do all of that fine tuning and gathering of information to assess the product is we have two types. We do like a primary research where you can go and ask the questions, questionnaire, focus groups, you gather your information. And then you have secondary researches where you look at particular articles as done before, look at different databases that would have answered some questions along these lines, and that will help you to gather some information about your product and service. I just list a few there. So you'll realize that customer surveys and questionnaires, yes, persons do answer questionnaires. You probably have to pay a questionnaire online company to push out some of these questionnaires, or you can do the old-fashioned way of handing out some flyers of questionnaire and go around asking some persons. That may help. You might use a focus group. So if you're in your community, you might know a few persons who are influencers, who have great influence and might be interested in your product. You may go to different communities and you set up a Zoom meeting and you ask them, or you go to them door by door in this focus group, ask them a few questions about your product and services and see the feedback that you're getting. You can gather enough information in that. You may have some prototype or have the existing products on samples. You may go to the various persons that you're looking to target, your target audience, and give them trials. There was some persons come to you, even in the merchandisers in supermarket will come to you with a new product and say, try this, and they give you a taste and they tell you, say, it is on discount today. If you go to the and you ask for, and you get a discount and stuff like that. You go to the counter, you get a discount, stuff like that. So persons have different ways of getting their products out there and to getting the research as a feedback of our customers would demand. You have what is called a windshield research. This is where you go to other businesses and observe buying patterns. You observe how persons enter or what colors people look at. I have seen research where the colors of how the actual store looks like makes people buy more. The music that is being played makes persons eat more. So you might go into restaurants and stuff like that. You might go into a bank, and how the line is structured, one line is more packed than the other line, because as person going, they tend to stay in the middle aisle. But if you go inside any line, and you can try it for yourself, you realize the lines to the far right or the far left is less persons. I don't know why, but that's what persons' customer behaviors are like. So you can actually use this research by observing, going to the different rivals that you may have or competitors that you may think in terms of the market, or where your target customers shop, and observe them and gather your information before you start. It's time consuming, but it provides much needed data to fill out your plan. And also when you actually start, you know what to do and what not to do. Industry databases, there are some persons who gather data. We have Statin, we have PIOJ, for industry database and census data. BOJ also have some databases that you can access. Market research, different articles, you can Google, internet, and gather all information you can get on your products and service and see how best. In also your industry analysis and your market analysis, those similar type databases can help you into assessing that part of your feasibility analysis. Now we'll move on to the other one, which is your financial feasibility. And this is where a lot of persons focus on, because they're focused on making money. Whenever people start business, all they want to do is just start, make money. But there are other areas, like I just said to you, the product analysis. Financial feasibility analysis is very important. It shows you what the capital you will need, because remember, we're trying to start as small as possible and then grow, so that we don't overspend and overextend ourselves, because remember, business is scalable. So you might want to look on how much amount of money you need to start up, what you need to start up with, and what you don't need to start with. A lot of persons tend to want to start big, big offices, big warehouses, the large organizational charts, and they have a manager for everything. And remember, I told you in the very first session that when you just start a business, you have to put in your time. It means that you're going to play multiple roles, and that helps you to save money. So in the feasibility analysis, when you talk about your capital, think about your minimal amount that you need to start, and then as you grow, you add. You might have some training that you need to do. Let's say you're in distribution business, and you might want to start, I want to start with the more experienced salesperson. If you can't afford them, you might want to start with somebody that is trainable. So they have minimum amount of qualification, they have a knack for sales, but they just need some more development. You can say, okay, I'm going to start with these persons, and I'm going to put some money towards development and training for these sales reps. So you have the money that you have highlighted and to do stuff like that. You might also have to estimate the number of persons that I'm going to target. What is my pricing structure? How much money I plan to make from it? And what is the cost in generating that sort of earnings? Then you can have all of that, and that will help you in your financial analysis going forward. A little later, we will talk about, maybe another week or so, we talk about you projecting your financial statements. Because when you go to your investors, they want to know how much you're making in year 1, year 2, year 3, because remember, a business is a going concern. It's not a one-off transaction. They want to know that over this period, you're able to pay back the debt. Over this period, what is my return you're going to give me? A return on my capital I've given you. Dividend, or how do I exit from the business if I choose to? So all of those things will come into your financial analysis. Timeout of cash. We spoke about return on investment a while ago, about dividend and how they would exit and what is their sort of payoff as an investor. You might want to talk about also the timeout of cash. Sometimes when you're just starting, you may want to give some customer credit for a short space of time. I'm not going to tell you that you need to give customer credit. I'm just saying, make the nature of your business, in order to grow your business, you may want to give some customers credit. you may have to think about what's in my worst case scenario, that I'm not collecting enough cash on time. How long can I go without not meeting my sales target? How long can I go without meeting my revenue target? Because what happens is that sometimes we target, right? Sometimes we project, sometimes estimate monies we're going to make. And for some reason, the market hasn't waken up to us as yet. We need time to promote our business, we need time to get into the minds of persons. Customers sometimes are a little sketchy in buying from new companies, and you have to give them enough time to realize that I will be around tomorrow. I'll be reliable. So you can come to me. Remember I gave you that example of somebody selling mechanical parts this week, and when you go back next week, they're selling household items. Then you can't trust that person to come back tomorrow to get household items, because they may switch again. That's not a business, that's a hustle. So in this financial analysis, you want to be able to plan out how long can I go without making any cash? What's my worst case scenario? And that will help you to say, okay, how best it is for me to go forward in this business. Investors love to look at that. They love to see if you have put aside enough cash for the eventualities. Let's just say you had started, and I know I'm beating the COVID idea overly. But let's just say you started a bed and breakfast business where you have a villa, and you decided to do Airbnb or some villa type, selling the stay to overseas persons or local. COVID happened, but the place had to be maintained, clean, taxes still have to be paid. You need to have what we call in finance some sunken money, some money put on reserve for the eventualities. That's what that timeout of money is also for, starting of business. You want to have that money set aside that you can keep it running as the customers warm up to you and you're increasing meeting your targets. Now we're going to talk about the entrepreneur feasibility. Is this idea right for you? No, I am not a medical practitioner. I never studied medicine beyond, or any medical subject beyond third form. I was always business. From third form, I was always business, 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 econ, business, econ, business. No, I probably can, I don't have the appetite or the presence for certain type of surgeries. So imagine if I was to enter in any form of business that involves that in the medical field. I will not have the expertise. Even if I go learn the expertise, I still physically could not be a part of that business outside of being a silent investor. So you have to ensure that the business is right for you. And I know I don't need to tell people of God that may be online that there are certain type of business that it contradicts or go against your faith and beliefs. So by the sheer nature of that, you can't get into those type of business. So it's not a right fit for you. Even though money may be in it, it's not a right fit for you. So this is where the entrepreneur feasibility, all those things, financial and non-financial, all those things, does it fit? Does it fit you? Do you have the knowledge? Does it fit your morals? Does it fit you want to do an analysis of that? Do you have the years of experience? Do you have the education background to deal with that? And if you don't, can it be imported? Can you source it, outsource it? Can you invite those persons to be a part of your business and give them some share capital? Those are kind of considerations that you need to factor into your feasibility study for the entrepreneur feasibility. Are there any questions so far?
Yes, there's 2 in the chat. So let me know if you're hearing me clearly.
Yes, I'm hearing you clearly.
Okay, so Latoya Vasquez asked, in regards to research, Is there a
Yes.
particular timeline that would be applicable in undertaking same?
Okay, so no, it's not really the timeline, but it's the content of what you're analyzing, it's content of what you're gathering. We have this saying in research, garbage in, garbage out. So if you're collecting the content, if you even spend 2 months collecting the content and it is not helping you or is not strong enough or sufficient enough, then you may be analyzing data that is incorrect and not helping you. So the source of where you get the information from, let's say you're doing secondary research, Latoya, and the sources which you're collecting this information from are gossip sites, are not sites of any credible nature. It's somebody that's in their living room decided to start a vlog or blog, and they're talking about stuff there they have no knowledge about. They're talking about interest rate, that BOJ is increasing, and they don't spend a day in finance. They don't understand what interest rate is, and they're telling people that, you know, interest rate, BOJ is increasing interest rate, and they shouldn't. They don't know anything about the economy, and that is just going to reverse in 2 months' time. And you take that idea and say, oh, interest is going to reverse the next 2 months' time. Then I should go ahead and do this or do that. You realize that the information that you have gathered from a secondary source would not be credible. So I always tell a person to double check the source, use official source when you get the information online, because a lot of garbage or not credible source is online. So use credible source for secondary information. In terms of your primary gathering of data, now that is dependent on what the type of business that you're getting into. If you're getting into a seasonal product, then of course you need to observe it over seasons. But if it's a situation where you just need to get a snapshot of understanding of what the buying patterns are on a particular product, then I would say it can be as short as how much data that you have gathered. I hope that answer helps.
Thank you for that. The next question is from, I think it's Soyini Slater. Yes. Can you provide us with a previous financial feasibility analysis for reference?
Okay, that wouldn't be possible in this time frame and this setup for me to give you an example of a feasibility analysis, because I would have had to give you all the different feasibility analysis, and it would not fit into this, this time slot. But just to say that what you're really trying to do for the feasibility analysis, I don't want to say it's something like an income statement, but you really want to put in items into that allow you to best estimate what your income that you're expected and all the costs that you're expected from setting up your business and promoting your business in terms of the target number of service and customers that you plan to get, and of course the price that you plan to charge them and the margins. So it's almost like you're replicating an analysis to use information to do your financial statements. That is the best way I could explain it. And I hope that helped.
Not seen anymore right now.
All right. So we go to what is called a business model canvas. I like this one because it evokes a lot of thinking, and it is reiterative, and it allows persons to think on their feet, and it allows for deep dive. And so if you're going to start a business more than one person, just set up your whiteboard and have your post-its. Just like if you're in a strat, for persons online who have been in a strat meeting and we're creative with it, this is essentially what it is. But is it a creative way of doing it and to gather information about your business that you're going to use to formulate your business plan? And it helps you to think through an idea that you may have or a strategy that you may have that in and of itself, you may be thinking about it a particular way, but you and the other investors or the other partners me can come up with, just by brainstorming, come up with a creative idea. Let's dive into it and you see exactly what I'm talking about. See, it looks like I even tried to make it look like some post-its. You see your post-it stamper here, but we tried. And you see with little tape here and stuff like that, we tried to make sure that we're mimicking the process that actually happens in a virtual sense. Now, we're going to analyze the different key areas to this business canvas. One of the areas is key partners, key activities, your value proposition, which is in the middle. We're going to talk about that. So that is your core to your business. Customer relationship, customer segment, what are the key resources, and of course, your channels to get the goods out and in, and what is your cost structure and your revenue stream. Now, if you realize, based on the last question that was asked, your financial feasibility analysis, you'd have done that. When you get around to here now and you're doing your business canvas as well, this will also help you to bring out all the revenue streams that you may have missed and all the cost structure that you may have missed, which will help you into formulating your financial statements that you're going to have, or financial projection that you're going to have in your business plan. You see why we have to break it up in bites and pieces like this in a different segments for you to understand that it's an involved process, and it's also a very, when you take it in bite pieces like this, it helps you when you're writing a fine-tuned plan to not miss anything and your plan will be solid. And if your plan is solid, then you're all the very best on your way for success. For the first area, your key partners. Your key partners in any business is your suppliers. Remember, we went into the Porter's 5 first, we talk about your suppliers. You'd have already started to get information about your suppliers there. When you get here, so you know who your suppliers are. So you would have said, okay, it's a big threat. I need to get 2 or 3 more suppliers. By you get around to your business canvas model now, you would have been listing out the 3 or 4 suppliers that you have and how to get the goods to you, which would have impacted your channel. But we'll soon get to that. Your key outsourcing partners. Remember, in your analysis a while ago, in your entrepreneurial feasibility, you would have, do I need to outsource some of the resource that I need, human capital that I need? And here you would have put all of that in there. Your industry partners, your advisors, all the things that you involve in making the business possible, you would have put it here. That is external to you, would have put it here. And you'd have also added a cost or some dollar value around it as you go along. Key activities. What is it that your business is doing? List them out. List out all the key activities that your business is doing. List out all the activities that you need to do to start the business. So if you're going to outsource the partners, I need to find the right persons. I'm going to send out the ad. I'm going to talk to some friends and family that I know with the right criteria. List out all the activities. If you need to buy equipment in order to help with the manufacturing or help with the display of your products, you list out all the activities. When you list it out, then you're going to see that it helps you to see what are the costs and the minimum things that you need. Because sometimes we list out a lot of things and we don't need a lot of things. But at least you list them out so you know what is the short-term immediate things you need, and the medium-term you can, when you get around to the other section, you'll see where you can cost that out. Just to stop here and give you like an example, when I started my distribution business, I started it outside of my home with a computer, with a printer, with a couple rooms being used for processing and storage, and trade credit. Now the business has blossomed or grew, thanks be to God, into multi-million-dollar business. So you see, most persons that start distribution business, they will say, oh, I need a big warehouse, I need 3 printers, I need 5 staff, I need 10 sales reps. Oh yeah, and we started with 2 sales reps. Of course, we played sales rep roles as well. So I would probably say we have a lot of sales reps. Everybody was a sales rep at a point in time until we grew and take on other personnel. So you will see that this list of activities will help you in order to formulate what you need to start going forward. And those are real life examples. And that's how people start from nothing to something. But you at least need to list them out. Now your key resources, we spoke about human capital, intellectual resource, all those things. You list out what you're going to need to start. Now, you'll realize that all of that to the left of value proposition form your cost structure. All I spoke about the cost, stuff you need. First, you need to link up with your key supplier, All of that is informing you about your cost structure, your variable cost and your fixed cost in operating this business. To the right of value proposition is your customer relationship. What is the type and level of customer relationship you want to have? Let's go back to the taxi business or the people carrying business. If you were running a normal taxi, then you would not expect the level of customer service to just be somebody pick you up, or if a robot, different taxis, you just go pay your money, drop you off a destination, and then the person's on the radio, taking another person, pick up, tell the person that I'll be there in 5 or 10 minutes. That's what you expect, right? And that's what Jamaicans have been accustomed to the level of service in the taxi service in that era. But the premium taxi service, and some of it was brought about based on the revolutionize of the taxi service, where due to tours and other Uber and other such type, when they are coming for you, you expect to have newspaper, a bottle of water. So you realize that there is different type of customer relationship, there are different type of customer segments over here that you're going to apply to or try to get customers from. If you're getting into financial services business, remember we're talking about starting a bank. So set aside all the red tapes and regulatory requirements. Let's just say you start a bank. You might want to compete in a niche area. You have NCB, you have the private banking clients. They expect a different level of service from a normal NCB customer. Bank of Nova Scotia signature customers, they expect a different premium type of product. So it all depends on what you're offering. If you're in the beauty, hair care, and personal care business, there are some stores or some spas that they offer complete silence. You have a one-on-one service. They're doing your hair, your nails, they're just attending to you. You are the only person in that room or that space. While you have some other shops, everybody comes in, people come in selling newspaper, selling water, persons are talking here, persons are talking there. Some persons don't like that. And they talking over here, talking over there. So some persons offer different type of customer relation, different type of service. You have some beauty pays, people know you by name. They call you and say, your appointment, you missed your appointment last week, Mrs. So-and-so, you need your appointment, Mr. Semester, you need to come on. There's different level of customer service, different segment. What segment you want to get into? How you plan to do the customer service? That helps you in your revenue stream down here. That improves your revenue stream. That tells you what size that market looks like. If it's a niche or it's a mass market. Your communication channels, your channels could be a communication and distribution. How do you get out your business? Is it via word of mouth? Is it via flyer? Is it internet? Is it social media? Is it your website? Is it by word of mouth by dissatisfied customers? And your business segment? Is it by ad? Is the ad on radio? Is the ad on in newspaper? All of these things help you to deal with this channel. Distribution, how is the effective way of getting your business and products out to customers. I remember when I was considering promoting Valley Zone Financial Services, I considered doing radar ads. I considered doing radar interviews. And so if you're in similar type business as a consultant, those are things you can consider if the cost matches the target audience that you're trying to do. And at the time, Nationwide was a popular There's a popular radio station for that. So these are kind of things that you have to decide. What is your communication channel? What is your distribution channel in order to get your customers aware of what you're doing and get your products out in terms of distribution channel? All of that, you'll realize affect your revenue stream. No, I left the middle for last because I want to focus here for a minute or two. Your value proposition is really what sets you apart from your customer. Think about it, articulate it as best as possible, trying to get you to differentiate yourself from your customer is paramount to your success. If I regard you as just as the same as another supplier or another business, then for me, I just go to anyone who's most convenient. And you don't want that. You want your customer to think about you. When they hear quality service, they're coming to you. When they hear quality product or whatever product you're offering, they're coming to you. If it's a feature about the product, they're coming to you. It don't always have to be the pricing, but some company base the value proposition on pricing. Best Buy is saying we have the lowest prices for electronics and stuff like that. You can be a low price margin. I remember when Lasco first came to the market, the person can remember that long, Lasco came to the market as the most nutritious offering at the lowest price. Today, that may not necessarily be so about the lowest price, but that's what they entered the market at. And for being the lowest price, but had quality substitute. Grace, on the other hand, at the time, no, I'm not in Grace boardroom or Lasco's boardroom, even though I analyze those companies because they're listed companies for my investment portfolios and different companies that I work for. But Grace, on the other hand, says, we're not trying to compete on price, we're competing on quality. And Grace at the time pushed that Grace was the best quality, the best tasting product for everything. No, that's not necessarily true, because I can tell you, I distribute Kendall products, and Kendall products for certain products taste the best in the market. That's up to me. But I don't want to belabor that point. But just to show you that you can position your value proposition, what sticks out, what stands out, what sets you apart from your competitors. If you are in consultant business, you can say, I give you the most personal service. I am not satisfied until you are satisfied. So I am pushing customer satisfaction. And if you don't get the funding and your project is not completed, I am not happy. I am efficient. I am timely, and I'm giving you the best service. I'm not just giving a report for report's sake. I am vested in you. That may be your value proposition as a consultant. Whether you're an accounting firm, or you start an accounting firm or a research firm, all of these different, whether you're a marketing firm, you have to get vested in your company, get vested in your clients, in your client future. My future is tied to your success. That may be your tagline. I'm just showing some stuff out there to show you how you can articulate your value proposition and set you apart different from your customers. I hope that helped, because we're going to show you that process that we just showed you, that's a static process. That is one of your first level of planning. But after you have developed that, you're going to get into a phase where you're going to do customer research and feedback. Now that is your phase 2 in terms of testing that value proposition that you have just formed. You and your other shareholders are sat in the room and you come up with that massive, attractive, solid value proposition. Now you have to test it. So you go out and you test that, get some feedback from your customer. You put out that whatever prototype, and I put an example here of WhatsApp. I know we're using WhatsApp freely now, but everybody remember when WhatsApp just came out, before it was sold to Facebook and to another bigger firm. It was just a messaging tool for a person to just message persons, right? That's what it came out at. That's the minimum. And then it evolved into video sharing. You can post across all social medias now through your WhatsApp. So you realize that you can start your minimum prototype or your minimum level of service, a minimum product, and then you can scale up. You go into to phase 4. Phase 4 now is where you're saying, I am ready to expand, I'm ready to go. Now, I'll give some examples here. I will call that, so we call it pivoting, because the iterative process. Let me explain to you what I mean. There is product pivot, there's revenue pivot, and there are customer pivot. A lot of persons on here may not know, because we view FedEx now as in the normal sense of calling to drop off a package, sign up the package, and the drop off a package. But did you know that when FedEx started, it actually started as a stationery selling business near to a college? The person wanted to sell stationery to college students. Later, he had to change to be a photocopying business that college students came and photocopy, because that was what they were demanded. So his product offering changed based on going through this iterative process. He realized that, oh, hola, I'm selling the wrong product. I should be selling photocopy. And of course, no, today, you know that FedEx is not necessarily doing that. It is transporting goods and packages across the world. So you may have done another iteration of this process, and now he's offering something different. So that's what I mean when I said you put it on a business canvas, you're running through the different phases to ensure that you're flexible, ever meeting customer needs, and you are servicing the right customer, the right product. Best Buy. A lot of persons on here may not be aware that Best Buy, when it started, it wasn't the low margin, trying to sell the cheapest product when it just started. They actually sold their inventory. It took a year when it just started to sell, because they marked up their inventory by 200%. What happened is that there was some natural disaster that affected them, some disaster affected them, and they had the goods, and they decided to cut the costs in put up a tent, like a yard sale, cut the costs and sell the products. And they realized that, okay, I cut the costs on these products, I got a huge discount, and persons came and bought them. So you know what? I'm going to replicate this by selling the products at smaller margin and increase the number of sales that I have. So they were able to go through their inventory that they have in a faster pace. Within a month, they were selling out what they used to sell for a year, and they made more money. So they cut their costs and volume business. Like most distributors now, that's what they're doing. Low margin, lot of volumes, equal higher profit. PayPal is another example. We are using PayPal now, and digital wallet and link and all this other stuff now to do all kind of different transactions. But PayPal first started as just a means of payment on phones. They had to evolve because e-commerce was going through the roof. The Amazon, the eBay was running through the roof. And they said, you know what? I want a piece of that $1 trillion market. So I'm going to allow persons to have PayPal accounts. And now you realize that influencers have PayPal accounts, YouTube influencers, all the persons have PayPal accounts. And PayPal is now being used as a means of payment. So they are customer pivot. Whereas Best Buy, the margin, they had revenue pivot, and now they have transformed their business model. So if you're starting your business, don't think that what you have started with, that is where you're going to end up. You must be flexible enough to go through this iterative process to ensure that you are meeting and making money at all times. I hope that we understood that. Is there any questions?
Yes, there was one earlier on in the chat from Latoya Vasquez.
Yes.
She said, when including reserve cash in a budget, what are some of the methods that may be used and or applied?
Okay, so some business, you have to think about it like how the nature of the business. So let me give you an example. All right, we know that there are certain seasons. Let's get the same example of the Airbnb and villa type business where you sell stay to visitors. We know that there are certain months that we have a lot of visitors, right? Every 3 months, we might have visitors. There's a spring break, there is some holiday weekend, stuff like that, correct? So if every 3 months you have a special intake of customers, in COVID it was a little bit different, it was shut down for a couple of months, but generally that's what it is. What you could do is to say, I want to have cash on reserve so that if I don't get any customer in the low periods, I'm able to maintain until the next 3 months. So in that particular business, you know that the cycle is 3 months. If you're into retail business, you know that persons get cash at the end of every month. So you may want to be able to have your cash balance in your account to at least have a month or 2 there. So just in case you miss your end of month target, then you're able to weather until the next month with the hope that persons, when they get their paycheck, they're able to come to you and to settle their bills or buy new products from you. So it depends on the nature of the business that you're entering into, that you would see put cash reserve on that. If you have a business that the turnaround time from getting the products to getting to the user have like a time lag of say 6 months or 3 months, 4 months, you may want to have your cash reserve matching that so you can, as you sell off these containers or and stuff like that, then you're able to weather your storm to the next one. If you're offering services like to government agencies, now we know government agencies tend to, or some institutions tend to pay in a lag. So the nature of payment of your customers too can also influence you in saying, okay, when you present the invoice to some customers, they're going to take a lag to pay you, and that lag you may want to have sufficient cash to pay your staff and to pay your overheads in order to meet the next bill payment. So it's the nature of the business and your customer paying profile. So I hope that helped. Latoya. All right, so we're moving now to business plan. We have gathered all information. So the information we have gathered so far about the industry, about the customer, about the finances, about your own talents. We have gathered every information by using different things. So now we're ready to write the business plan to convince the bank or the lenders to give us money. Now we write the business plan to convince the investors that this is the next best train, they can't miss it. Or if you have the money in your pocket, it is to convince you or to give you the blueprint to put forward that once you put up this money that you have worked so hard for out of your savings and investment, and this business is going to return back the favor to you in a super normal way. So we're going to get into the business plan. Now your business plan is really a summary of what the entrepreneur proposed to do from an operational standpoint, financial details, all the marketing opportunities, strategies, and skills. Does that sound familiar? That's all what we're discussing so far. We just break it up into small attainable pieces so that when we're writing it, we're able to fill it out in the best fine-tuned, solid way. Now, the 2 essential reasons for writing a business plan, as I outlined, your mission, your goals, and objectives, is to achieve that on a personal level from the shareholders and the person starting a business. And also, it's for you to attract the lenders and investors going forward. What are the elements of the business plan? We just run through the elements here, but I'll go through each of the segments in detail on later slide. Your title page, your executive summary, your mission and your vision statement that you have for your company, description of your products, the business and industry profile. We spoke about that already. We talking about the industry, doing all the research around the industry, competitive analysis. We are seeing that in the Porter's 5 forces, the feasibility analysis. We've seen all of these names come up. So it helps you market entry strategy, marketing strategy, entrepreneur and the manager's resume. Remember, I told you about the entrepreneur feasibility analysis that most person, when they pick up a business plan, they're going to check what the owners or potential owners have. Are they fitting for the business? Do they have the skill set to do this part of business? How you plan to operate? And look here, your projected financial statements. And that's why we need to flesh out the earnings. When we talk about on the business canvas, to flesh out the earnings, the cost structure, and your revenue structure, and everything involved, that will help you to do your financial statements. And of course, what money are you asking for? What investment are you asking? What's part of the business are you selling? What that looks like, and what you need the money for. Is a use and proceed type of a table and explaining what they're for, and you conclude your wonderful business plan. So of course, your title page gives the information about the business, where is it located, where potential located, because by this time you're about to register, you may not have registered as yet. You talk about executive summary, what are some of the salient points, your mission statements and vision statements. I just put here that your mission statement is kind of defines what the business is about, what the business is doing, its objective, the different objectives you want to achieve, maybe on a day-to-day basis. And your vision is what you desire to position the company. So you might be in box making right now, and you want to make the best quality. You're making the best quality boxes. That's probably something along that line you frame in a nice way about your mission, and ensure some customer satisfaction. But your vision may be to be the best box making company in the Caribbean region or in the world. And that you articulate it in a more palatable way, but essentially that's what your vision statement is saying. Something for the future that you aspire to be and you want to be. So somebody who is looking on your business plan will buy into that future, buy into that vision, buy into that dream, and push you forward. The description of your product and services, that's why we needed to do the product feasibility analysis to help you with this part. So this part now is going to show people that you know what your product is about, you know the benefits of your product, you know what you can do. And then you, of course, the business industrial profile, your competitive analysis, all the different segments that we have gone through to help you with that, your marketing strategy, how you plan to enter the market, how you plan to get it into. So your communication channel, when you have to talk about that in your business canvas, that will help you to flesh out your market entry strategies, and of course your market strategy as well. But we talk more about the strategy in a few slides to come. Your plan of action, organizational chart, your how you plan to set up your company. Remember in the second, I think was second week, we spoke about what sort of business you're going to set up. Your organizational chart will help you with that. And that's why we did it, because we know we're going to get to this point where persons who are investing in your company is going to want to know, what am I invested in? How is the decision made? Who has autonomy? How we get to the end result? Your partnerships, sole trader, limited liability, we discussed all of that. Are you going to do lease contracts? All of those things will be discussed in your plan of operation. Your entrepreneur resume, we stressed that about 3 or 4 slides. Persons want to know the strength of your management team. And of course, your financial statement projection. And of course, you're going to tell them now what they plan to do with the money, how much money you want, what are the different strategies of exit. Are you going to buy back their share? Or are you going to list on the stock exchange? Or are you just going to pay them dividend? They need to know what their return is going to be. You're going to pay back the loan every month until whatever. They want to know how that's going to be done. And here, some investors would want to know what is your, we call skin in the game. How much money are you putting up? How much time and resources are you putting up? Sweat equity or actual cash? What are you putting up? Because it's the idea for loan person giving you funding. They want to know that if my money is the only money that is being risked, then you have no vested interest into making sure the business works. But if you put up money into the business as the business owner, then of course you're not going to want your money to to go down the drain. So you're more vested into making it work. So that's what we call skin in the game. How much money are you putting up into the business to make the business work? The higher that value is the more money that they're going to be more satisfied, because they know that you're risking and the comfort level will be increased. Now we're going to spend a few minutes on strategic planning. Are there any questions about that so far?
No question.
No question? All right. I hope everybody is understanding and following. I know it's maybe a new era for most, but it's essential. It's very essential. So after this, we probably can go back through it on YouTube and watch it over and start writing those plans. Because the moment you start writing it and fine-tuning it, the better it is for you going forward into getting the much needed funding that we will need. The strategic plan is basically telling you what is your game plan, how you plan to do all of what you just write down a while ago, how you plan to execute, what do you plan to shoot for, what the target you plan to shoot for, and how you plan to achieve them. That's basically what it's about in a nutshell. What are some of the steps into the process? First, you have to develop a clear vision and translate into a meaningful mission statement, which just talk about that. And once you start fine-tuning that, you will see where your vision and mission would have to link back to your value proposition. So when you start to do this process, you realize that it helps you to fine-tune it and get it more solid as you go to the different pieces. Now, access the strengths and weaknesses. So basically, step 1 and step 2 and step 3 is doing a SWOT analysis. Most persons will familiar with the acronym SWOT. Your strength, your weakness, your opportunities and threat facing the business. Now, you want to identify your key success factors around the business. We soon explain to you what those are, and analyze your competition. You have been analyzing your competition from the start. And so at this point in time now, you're just trying to find out what is your game plan that you plan to execute your strategy around your competition in the existence of them. How you plan to outsmart them, outdo them, outperform them. Create some company goals and objective, start with some small attainable ones and increase as you go along. What are some of the strategies, how you formulate them or you implement them? Because remember, a strategy is useless if you don't implement it. And what are some of the controls that you can put in place in order to ensure the success of those strategies? You have to be able to articulate them and link it back with your value proposition, as I said earlier. Your strengths is really what is internal to you, that is your positive. If you're knowledgeable about the industry and your certification, your license and stuff like that is important to you, and it is your strong suit management, your management ability of resources, you're a good administrator, you're a good marketer, you put all those things as your strength. If your weaknesses is that, on the flip side, time management or the idea of lack of resources, that you're not able to put in place certain cost controls, certain control mechanism is your thing, you put that into your weaknesses. And then you look at opportunities. Now, after COVID, there were some opportunities that emerged. There were some courier service persons that emerged. There were some business outsourcing that emerged. There were some online platforms that assisted restaurants of Jamaica, or the fast food places, that emerged. And opportunities are what is positive, but external to your business. And you want to take advantage of those opportunities in order to make your business grow and to be scalable. So you're putting strategies in place to address these. So you want to write them down. So when you get down to the formulating of the strategies, then you're able to to articulate it positively. Of course, the threats. No, another disease breakout, maybe a threat to the courier service. Could you mute your mic, please? Another threat could be the advent of tighter controls in certain areas. Now that also played a part. Gas prices may be a threat to a courier service because now your cost has increased because of the increase in transportation costs. What are some of the key costs, the key success drivers in your business? You might want to think about them in terms of leadership, staff, operation, marketing, and finances. You write them down. How does these factors affect your business? You might want to write them down and articulate them so that when you get around to finding strategies to push these success factors, so what you're going to do is to push these success factors. You may want to say that, okay, I'm going to train my staff. I'm going to have strong staff development. I'm going to have good staff health. So staff health and buying of my staff and good customer service is going to where I'm going to push. My operations are going to be top class. I'm going to market well. I'm going to manage my finance well. Those are the kind of things that you want to articulate and push forward. Of course, you want to analyze your competition because that will help you to know how to outdo them and how to meet your goals. Know your goals. You can strategize and write strategy, but in achieving what? In attaining what? You have to set your company goals and your objectives and what you're trying to achieve. Every strategy has to achieve something. Write it down, quantify it, and then put the objectives in small bite pieces in order to attain them. So you're going to formulate your strategies based on your incorporating all of what you have just done in a bit to ensure that you're able to achieve them. Now, there are many strategies that you can think about, but we just say here that you can strip away everything and level it down to 3 types. One is your cost leadership, where the strategy in which a company strives to be the lowest cost producer to its competitors. In the case of Best Buy or Alaska, when they just came to the market, that was what they were trying to do. Differentiation. Every strategy that you come up with is trying to make you different from your competitors. Build customer awareness, build customer loyalty through being different and through being unique, but good and great at what you do. That is also going to help you in terms of executing your targets that you have just set. Focus. What market segment are you focusing on? Remember, I explained to you that in the taxi business, there are different segments. So you want to go to premium. In the beauty care business, do you want to go premium or you're going mass? Same way in the hotel business or vacation stay business. Are you going premium or are you going mass marketing? Then you want to know which segment you're focusing on and what are their needs into that business segment and try to meet those needs or even go above those needs in order to ensure that you have customer loyalty and, of course, continuity, because you need continuity for sustainability and you need it for growth. Because one, you want somebody to tell about your business and move forward. As I said, in step 8, mentioned it before, no strategy is good if you don't implement it. It is useless on your book. It's useless in your brain. Unless you utilize it and implement it, then it gives life, then it comes to life, then it manifests into profit generation opportunities. And you might want to have some control mechanism in place to ensure that you don't grow too fast beyond what your resources are, and you don't grow too little when you could have done things a whole lot different. And you might want to catch the leaks and the cost burning issues that you may want to turn into profit-making opportunities. Of course, this is just a brief outline of what your business plan looks like. We have already gone through the different segments. And now I will close for questions. Are there any questions?
No questions so far.
Was it clear? Was it understandable? Did you see the benefit in having your business plan and your strategic plans and marketing object? Well, your goals and your objectives. Nobody?
Nobody.
Oh, I see a raised hand. You can open your mic and speak. Sonia, you can open your mic and speak.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
All right. I am a small business owner. So this is very enlightening for me. This is things that I've been practicing, but need to write it down.
Yes, so, write it down. Yes.
Right. So even this morning, I was part of the Honeybun Foundation training. And this is what they're emphasizing, that you do a strategic plan. And I think,
oh, by the way, you know, Honeybun started out of their home as well. If I'm not mistaken, I think Honeybun started out of their home, I think their garage, like a small bakery. And it
absolutely.
Expanded. Yes, expanded.
To what they are now.
To what they are now.
So,
yes. So go ahead. Yes.
So so they're emphasizing how to do the strategic planning, but
yes.
For me, I am not a sit-down person. So I'm very active in my business. So I make the products and labeling the products. I'm, you know, and doing everything. So I'm trying to be able to do this, because what it is that I'll do is like I'll write. Basically, I'll do a business plan, but I don't do it in a book form, like several pages. I'll just do what is my goal, what is my mission, when do I need to attain a certain amount of sales, who is my target market, who are the persons I'm likely to sell, who is able to buy more, who are my cash customers, who I need to give 14 days credit, that kind of thing. So I think about it in my headspace. So I don't think a lot of times I really sleep. I'm always dreaming about these things and then manifesting them. So I'll write like a vision board, like what Apostle had spoken to about some time ago. So I think a lot of times that persons go to church, but they're not understanding fully that the things that the Apostle says is things that you can immediately implement in your life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think speaking to you further emphasize these points of the importance of starting a business and how to maintain a business and how to grow a business. And further that when you start making some money, that money is not yours. Because as you said earlier, that, you know, you can, an emergency could come up, a machine could break down, for some reason somebody don't pay you. You must always have something in the reserve that you can fast forward, you know, you can jump and do something, because it's not how much you earn, but it's what you do with it.
What you do, exactly.
So I would like to talk to you some more about strategic planning, because I think that strategic planning is very detailed.
Yes.
And if you have the stick-to-itiveness to follow through with what you want, you can scale into bigger things, you know, because I am a small SME, and because I'm trying to set a good foundation from early. So I'm trying to get my accounting proper. I'm trying to get my SOPs right, because I said whatever the business scale, I must be able to have these SOPs in place. I must have good work attitude. My products must be I'm always trying to improve. I'm never ever complacent. Never ever get too complacent thinking that you know it all, or somebody or staff who is sweeping can't show you a better way. So I believe that you must have humility you know, and so back to being
I think for persons who don't like to write down stuff but have most of the plans in their mind.
Yes.
I think what would help is a facilitation process. And we have persons on our team at Valley Zone Financial Services that actually conducts facilitation.
What's it called, please? What's your service called, please?
Okay, that's called services called a facilitation process, where what it does, it brings out a strategic plan, but it's something similar to that that iterative process of the business canvas, where we ask certain questions, the person walk you through your mind, and you put the post-its, and then after you say what is more important, and you go through all that iterative process. And when you're finished, you're going to be surprised that you have ended with a strategic plan when you're finished. And all you have to do is just type it up. That is how we have done for other business. In fact, even my own businesses, we have done that. So the person who is in charge of that facilitation process and the strategic meeting, we have done it for all the businesses that I have, for the distribution business and the financial service business that we have. Went through that process, and I can tell you, it is very helpful, even for me, who is embarked on it and a consultant. I'm telling you, it helps. It opens your mind to it.
To greater things.
Yeah, to greater things.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so you can contact us via the images that I've shared.
Because what I do post it. So if I need to fix if, for instance, I had to downsize during COVID.
Yes.
So I couldn't afford like an architect. So I basically drew it myself. I knew what I wanted. And then I tell the construction person what I want. The mason said, this is how I want it. This is how I want the platform to be. This is how I read up. Then I get other expert advice, and I said to conform with what I want. So that's how my mind thinks, you know, because I'm in food. So therefore I'm striving towards being HACCP.
Yes, yes.
You know, so that's how I do. That's how I go about things. That I have a list, you know. So I it's not like I'm going in my head only. It's there that my staff and everybody understands what I want and when I want it done, because everything has to be done in a measurable time.
Yes.
So I don't say, oh, I want this done, and I leave it there in midair and say, wanna, shoulda, coulda happen. No, I want it done by the end of the month, the 23rd of the month. This must be done.
Yes.
And everybody has to understand that that's what I mean. That everybody who is on my team understand that this is what X wants. That's it. You know?
Yeah.
Because I have to move on to something else, because if that doesn't happen, then I won't be able to move on to plan B or plan C. So I believe that time management is important. So I think that's something you could teach us also about time management.
Yes. Well, I'm certainly happy that the sessions is able to help, and we are able to provide additional help as is needed. So I'm hoping that this session would be able to move all the businesses that are already existing forward, and also to move the new business ideas into implementation, and people start their businesses and able to manage like you said, manage the time of implementation into execution to ensure that we don't miss opportunities. Are there anybody else with any more questions?
Yes, someone in the chat wanted you to go back to the first 2 pages of the business plan, or the first 2 slides.
Oh, well, they can go back and rewatch it if that's what their concerns were. I mean, they can go back and go back to the different slide. If there are any more questions?
No, not seeing any more.
Okay, not seeing any more questions. All right, as is customary, I want to thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to invest in yourself. Like Apostle always says, if you invest in your brain, then you will always see that benefit back inside your wallet. So please go back and rewatch the sessions to ensure that what was missed, you're able to get. It's on YouTube. Just make sure that, and if you have questions, you can send the questions to the facilitators, and if we're able to answer, then we can answer. Thank you for coming. What is customary, we always start with a prayer and close with a prayer. So my co-host, could you do us the honor and send us off in the right manner?
Sure. Okay, let us pray. Loving Father, our King, our Lord and Savior, Lord Jesus, we come before you, O God, to tell you thanks. Thank you, O God, for our facilitator tonight, Mr. Sinister. And we thank you also, God, for all the participants that were here and also the WAFIF team. We pray, oh God, that this session, oh God, would have resonated with all of us, or majority of us, oh God. And so, Lord Jesus, we just want to thank you, oh God. Thank you for this opportunity to actually be online, to learn, and to see how best we can start and grow our businesses. Lord Jesus, we pray that we'll have a restful sleep tonight and sweet dreams. In your wonderful and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.